The old cliche goes, the book is always better than the movie. I disagree. I think there are plenty of good movie adaptations that are even better than their source material, more than I think people give them credit for. Here are my picks for 5 movies that were better than the book they were based on. Jaws, the first summer blockbuster ever made, a real classic of a film, nail-biting thrills, unforgettable characters, iconic scenes, beautiful pacing, and of course there's the wonderful direction by Steven Spielberg. Then there's the novel written by Peter Benchley. The pacing is terrible, the characters are all horribly unlikable, the tension is non-existent, and there are a lot of subplots that do nothing but waste time, making the entire book a painful, boring experience to read. Yeah, I think it's safe to say the film wins out here. But sure, you might be thinking, this is an easy target, picking a book that sucks. So from here on out, I'll be picking stories where both the book and the movie are good. Jurassic Park is both a great book and a great movie. The original novel by Michael Crichton is an engrossing read, and the film is an exciting and entertaining time. The film puts more of an emphasis on the wonder and awe of seeing these dinosaurs brought to life, which feels more realistic to how people would react to seeing dinosaurs for the first time, while still not sacrificing the genuine thrills of an adventure film. The book is much more focused on the technical than the spectacle, which is interesting in its own way, but in my opinion it isn't quite as compelling story-wise when put side by side for comparison. Also, I like the film version of John Hammond more than the book counterpart, who comes across more as a well-intentioned, if misguided visionary in the film, rather than the greedy douchebag he is in the book. Both versions are great, but I prefer the movie just a little bit more. The case of which First Blood you'll like more will depend on which character you think should be made more sympathetic. In the film, Rambo is explicitly made a victim with PTSD who is merely acting out in self-defense. In the book, Rambo is a ruthless, cold-blooded killer who mindlessly kills everyone in his path. In the film, Teasle is just an unsympathetic, one-dimensional jerk with little redeeming qualities. In the book, Teasle is a complex Korean War veteran who is nowhere near as unreasonable as his film counterpart. In my opinion, a more sympathetic Rambo is more interesting and compelling than a sympathetic Teasle. The movie is an exploration of the effects of PTSD of vets who have returned home from an unpopular war. The novel, on the other hand, is more about the difference in the mindset between Korean War vets and Vietnam vets, with much less focus on the PTSD element. And in my opinion, the exploration of the effects of PTSD makes the story more human and therefore more relatable. While the original Pinocchio, written by Carlo Collodi, is a good book and a good story, there is kind of this nasty undercurrent to the whole thing that kind of makes it an unpleasant read at times. The Disney version, while still being undeniably dark, is nowhere near as bleak as the original story. Also, there are 2 elements that the Disney film decided to fix that make the story so much better. First is the character of Pinocchio himself, who comes across a lot more naive and innocent in this version compared to his more boorish and rude side in the book. Also, his book counterpart is a complete idiot. I mean, the Disney version had moments of stupidity as well, but nothing compared to his original version. The second is the emphasis on the relationship between Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, which in the movie acts as the real heart of the story in a world of unbridled cruelty. In the book, their relationship is almost entirely antagonistic, to the point where Pinocchio accidentally kills the cricket. He gets better. There's also the fact that Carlo Collodi isn't exactly a subtle writer. All this makes the Disney version the much more entertaining and poignant story. Whichever version you pick, the original Swedish version or the American David Fincher version, I think both film versions of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo are better than the original book, and it's honestly for one very simple reason. The movies trim out the fat. There is a lot of extraneous information and subplots in the original book that honestly go nowhere and add little to the characters or overall plot. There's an especially jarring one involving Mikael Blomkvist's sexual tryst with an older woman that has a surprising amount of time devoted to it, but goes literally nowhere. And while the films aren't exactly subtle, I guess is the word you would use, again, that's nothing compared to the original book, in which Stieg Larsson never shies away from an opportunity to let his audience know, by the way, this is exactly what you should be thinking right now. The film versions feel like the edited and well-polished final draft of a serviceable second draft. And in case you're wondering, I personally think the Swedish version is the better of the two films, by just a little bit, but that's entirely up for debate. And those are 5 movies, or I guess technically 6, that are better than the books than they were based on. If you have any films that you think were better than the book, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. I'm curious to hear what you come up with. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and share. Links to all my social media are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.